My name is Tom Kelly, and I'm a psychologist here in Dallas. I've been in practice for 30 years. And I had a unique experience just a year and a half ago to meet this person we're going to talk to today, Lynn Fabia, who started the Keto Centers of America a number of years ago. And when I went to her class, there was something rather astounding I found, and that she was teaching something, even though I had taken martial arts before, I've never heard this. So what happened is I was intrigued by her journey and what she was doing, and then I found out she was writing a book about what she was saying about the kind of spirituality and philosophy of the keto, and I've never heard that anywhere else. And then coming out of this woman who had this presence about her that I was so impressed with. So we're here talking today about her book called The Martial Art of Life. And it's The Art of Intentional Living. It's rather, if you can see the page, the front page, you know, one of these things about a book is we say we should not judge a book by its cover. This, however, this book, or this page, the opening cover of the book, encapsulates so much of what I've learned from her just by looking at a picture. A picture has we always say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, this picture speaks more than that. And I'd like to ask Lynn about how this picture came about and what does it mean, because it grabs me personally, and I don't know if everybody would get the subtleties of the multitude of meanings that are here.
The symbolism. Anytime you look at something, you're going to see symbolism, and sometimes you don't know what it stands for. But it was very imperative to put that white light, because the whole theme about what I talk about is about being centered. And when you're centered, you're aligned mind, body, and spirit under the God source. And so the white light is the spiritual understanding and spiritual information that you get when you're centered. That you don't have to reach out for things, that things come to you in life. So you don't have to struggle.
It's not like a big effort or a discipline or a struggle.
Right.
You can take the struggle out of life if you align yourself.
That's right. Being centered and not being stressed and having fear-based thoughts. The blue sky is symbolic of being connected to the universe. And the two attackers that you see in the picture are dressed in black to symbolize a lower vibration, because their intent is to hurt. And it was important for me to stand a little bit higher to symbolize a higher consciousness, a higher vibration. And this is what I think what draws people to this picture is it's that white light. It just is kind of takes your soul right to that white light. So I'm real pleased at the way it turned out. I was guided to have
on how to hone this down.
Yes, it wasn't. It came to me from higher levels.
Well, just the fact that this lower, I mean the outside, the edge of this is dark.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the negative energy in life,
Right.
you're saying.
Exactly.
And that if you get stuck there, you will not find your true self or who you really are.
You can't be self-actualized being in a lower mindset.
So when did this book begin to germinate in your head?
Probably about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Although I've been in Aikido, it's my 27th year. This didn't start it until about 3 years ago, the changes.
And so you had the martial art part of this, which is first part of the title, the
Yes.
martial art of life.
Right, I was making my strides in the martial art. With the time that I put in, I became a teacher, an instructor, started an organization, but it was my personal life that wasn't balanced to my professional life. And then that's where the change came.
So you said felt off balance in your personal.
I was off balance.
So your profession helped you notice that. I mean, like by practicing this, you became.
But I still didn't know how to use the concepts to everyday life, even though we are taught that. I didn't know how to use them or apply them to the concepts that I'm using now and what I'm speaking about now.
So, but where did those concepts came? That they just distilled out of the martial art?
No.
Or did they feel like you came into this?
It's used the principles of moving forward, of being able to recover, being centered, having non-resistance, those are all good principles, but if you don't know how to apply them to life, they're principles that work good on the mat, but not in the way that I'm using them and speaking to the students about.
Well, this seems to be a practice that you help people take. I mean, it's not like, those are random thoughts we've all heard in the culture.
Right.
And they seem very Eastern in terms of like, you know, like, not Russian, but Asian.
Yes.
In that background. But we hear like no resistance.
Going with the flow. But it's a
flow.
buzzword unless you understand the concepts behind it. Those are buzzwords.
Well, it does. They seem rather hollow and used so often, but I don't know how many people
have the depth of the meaning.
Well, they haven't experienced it.
No, until you experience it, it's hard to explain it. You can regurgitate again somebody else's words, but if you're not actually experiencing it, it's not the same thing. You have to experience it, the change.
Well, if you don't apply them in some way. See, what you seem to do with the martial art is you give people a way to experience them.
Physically
You
on the mat.
open on the mat, and then something begins to happen to them. And there is an energy that you experience in your
Yes.
class, at least I have, and it starts making you make connections. So although I knew all those words before,
Right.
I never pulled them together.
No, and you had mentioned in class that Aikido felt like a completion as you were studying about the energy that you didn't get from maybe other styles that you learned.
Well, no, I didn't. I didn't have, my soul or my spirit wasn't nourished by that material.
And that's
my
good.
physical being was, like I learned a discipline, and you know, but it didn't connect with my spirit. But
And
when I
that's
sat in
important.
yeah, well, I didn't know there was a connection, to tell you the truth.
That's right.
Until I started to hear you speak in class. Now, the two sides that were most fascinating for me was the physical discipline, but then the reflection afterwards.
Right.
That
I could
balance.
give you analogies. This is how you can use it, and they
Well-
work in every area of life.
Well, see, I think the wise thing you did was you taught it as a discipline first, let people experience it. I think if you get the words there first before the experience, they become empty. And so what you were doing that taught me something is go over this experience, and then when you say the word, it's connected to the experience.
For some people, but then there's some people in writing this book that are never going to take Aikido.
I see what you're saying.
And so this book isn't for the martial artists, even though that's my profession. It's for people that want to understand life. Maybe the woman that's abused in a relationship and doesn't know how that happens and why she keeps attracting abusers. For people that want balance in their relationships. People that maybe don't know how to recover if they lost their job and they've lost maybe a part of their self-esteem. These are concepts that can help them. So it's not only for the martial artists, although it does help the people that are in martial arts right now because they can get both sides, but you don't necessarily have to train in Aikido.
Right. You don't have to have a black belt to understand this.
Not at all. Not for the life concepts. And this is what I like about it because it reaches more people in the world than just martial artists. And that's what I wanted, an expanded, much more expansion.